This is a review of stage 12. You have some Latin vocab that you need to be aware of. These are going to be found throughout the stories that you have to translate and through some of the other questions. Nay, with a dash in front of it, that's going to be at the end of the first word of a sentence, asking for a yes or no question. Da is a command from do, dari, dedidatus, meaning give, just the command give. Latissimus is most happy. Ago gratias, that's to give thanks. In this case, ago is I, so I give thanks. Reveiw is to return, I return. Delecto, I delighted, I am delighted, I am pleased. Quam with a comparative. Remember when I have a comparative, if I have lie to your, and then I use quam to, it's happier than you. So quam used with the comparative is than. Prope is near, and wene is I found. Execui is I exercise. Obtuli, that comes from the offero, which is to offer, so I offered. Amissi, I lost. Yakuisti, Yakuisti is you all, because of the isti. You all lied. Agissi, that comes from ago. Isti is y'all, so you all did, or you all acted. Plausisti is you all praised. Recubuisti is you all reclined or laid down. Missimus is we sent. Monsimus, we remained. Keptimus, we received. Consumpsimus is we consumed. Custodoisti is you all, again, isti, so you all guarded. Redistis is not correct. Hold on. How about reddisti, which is you all return, or you all returned. Sorrowisti is you all saved. Lacrimawisti is you all cried. Yam is now. Nunc is now. Semper is always. And iterum is again. You're going to have some English vocab as well. That is those word study questions that you'll see on your test. Adjacent means to lie next to. Subterranean is to be underground. Compliment is something that fulfills you. It's spilling for you. Somebody gives you a compliment, it makes you feel good. Unified is to make into one. Piedmont is an area under or at the base of a mountain. Optimum is best. Cinerary means that it's filled with ashes. Peninsula is something that is pine. This comes from pine, which is almost. An insula is island, so this is almost an island, so it's surrounded by water on three sides. Timoris is fearful. Next, you're going to have to deal with some pronouns and which verbs they go with based off of the ending. That's how we do this. Isti. Which one of these pronouns would I use? Isti is to. If I have rapidus, that is tis, that's you all, so los. Sorry. Los goes with the tis. We have Wiveramus. Moose goes with nos. Marty Moose has a nose. And then Centio is I. So ego for Centio because of the O. There are several questions like this where they're going to use both the perfect endings and the present and the imperfect endings. And you're going to have to decide whether or not the subject of that verb should be ego to los or nos. Translating person, number, and tense. You're going to get the English, you, singular, promised. And then you're going to get three, and you're going to have to choose which one is correct. Again, you're looking at the endings. I is I. Isti is you. And missit ends in T, so it's he, she, or it. So in this case, you singular is promisty. You guys can try these others if you want. Hit pause, try those. I'll give you the answers. He was grabbing. Again, he is going to be the T, not you, not I. So I have Reveiw bot. He was grabbing. We slept. Again, we have moose for we. It is not. We have we here too. We have moose again. So it's not asking me what the person is. It's asking me what the tense is. We slept is in the past. This could be the answer, but not the best answer. Definitely not the present. Let's go with the perfect for we slept. Cultural questions. Several questions about the cultural aspects of this chapter. The first one is how many people died during the eruption. We think around 2,000 people died. The percentage of the population of Pompeii would have been about 1/6. Because, so I guess if we did the math, 12,000, 2,000, 12,000 people lived there. 2,000 people died. About 1/6 is a percentage of the population that died. were, there we go, were the people in the city able to escape after the eruption? If they were buried in the city, they did not escape. They were dead. They were suffocated. A lot of hot rock and a lot of. Okay, so if you were buried by the hot rock and the ash, you did not survive. What happened to the city after the eruption? Did they rebuild? No, some people did come back. They dug tunnels down to their houses. They got some of their valuables and things, recovered some of the things that they could from the house, but they didn't rebuild the city. It was covered with the ash. Some of the tops of the buildings could still be seen. Eventually, however, those remains collapsed because of the weight of the ash. Some new soil made its way in. You couldn't see it. When did people begin digging up Pompeii, and why did they do it at first? Well, in the Middle Ages, it was gone. People knew that there used to be a city there, but they didn't really know that it was Pompeii, and so in the Middle Ages, nobody really knew anything about Pompeii. In 1594, it was accidentally found, but nobody did anything with it for about 150 years. In 1748, they started excavating a little bit, mainly for treasure purposes. They were trying to find, valuable things so that they could sell them. So it was more of kind of tomb raiding at first. When did excavation of Pompeii become more historically based? It was beginning of the 19th century. That's when they said no more looting. We're going to systematically excavate the site for historical purposes. Where can the most fragile pieces of the excavation be found? That most of those pieces can be found in the National Museum in Naples. What human remains have been recovered from Pompeii? Really no remains. They were just like empty voids that they poured plaster in. Now they use resin to come up with whatever was in that void. So some of the human remains are basically just voids there. No bones, no skin, no clothing or anything. But we're able to get an idea of it from the casts. Herculaneum, they actually do have, because of the volcanic mud that covered it, it was basically sealed away from all of the air. It didn't decompose, basically fossilized. You do get bones in Herculaneum, along with some other really cool artifacts that are intact, as opposed to having the concrete or the resin casts that are made in Pompeii. What is the benefit of the way that Pompeii was destroyed? It's basically frozen in time. So whatever was happening that day, it's just like hitting the pause button in history. It's there for us to find. So we get a lot of information about the daily life of the Romans through the city of Pompeii. We get an idea of the way things looked as far as the buildings, the architectural aspects. When did Vesuvius erupt? It erupted August 23rd and August 24th in 79 AD. What destroyed Herculaneum? The mud, the volcanic mud. It wasn't lava. It was probably very hot, and it probably burned a lot. But it was the volcanic mud that went off the back or the side of the mountain toward the ocean that covered Herculaneum. It was a lot harder to dig because basically the mud turned into rock and fossilized everything. It's a lot harder to dig in Herculaneum than it is Pompeii. It's also more dangerous. What destroyed Pompeii? A whole bunch of really, really hot rock and mostly ash. That was that pyroclastic cloud that we talked about that just ran through the city. Well, how high was the fallout of the two cities in feet? Well, one of the reasons that Herculaneum is harder to excavate is because 40 feet of that volcanic mud covered the city. What destroyed Pompeii, we said, was ash, and it was about 20 feet high. So a little easier to excavate, especially when you consider the height of the fallout. Characters. Remember the characters that were in this chapter. Also remember what they are known for. Halconius, of course, we saw him whenever Clemens was going into the city. He was really upset because his house was destroyed. Caecilius, he was at Julius's when all of this started. Clemens came into him, told him what happened. Caecilius went to the house. And then, of course, we know that he died there protected by his dog. Clemens came to help him after he saved Julius. Julius went to the city with him, and remember he fell, and Clemens took him to the Temple of Isis. Syphax, of course, that's our slave dealer. Quintus and Metella, we're not sure what happened to them. We don't know where they are at this point. One of the big things in this chapter that's different is they're basically taking all of the cultural aspects that we've had up to this point in the book, and they're going to put some pictures up there for you. For the triclinio, you may see pencil and paper. For the clino, you may see pots and pans. For stilio, you're going to see some flowers and things like that. Atrium, you may see the large. You may see whatever's in the atrium in your book. I think I messed up. Triclinio is a dining room. Tablino is the study. So in the triclinio, you would see the places where they would lie down to eat. Tablino is where I would see the pencil and paper, maybe some scrolls. In the road, we see all kinds of people in the road. We see dogs in the road, etc. The baths, that's pretty important because it's a little tricky. They're going to show you a picture of hypocaust, which is that heating element of the bath. So you may look at that to make sure you're comfortable with what that looks like. In the forum, all of the events that happen in the forum, make sure you're aware of those. The amphitheater, what happens in the amphitheater, what kind of things would I see in there, what would I see in the theater as well. It's going to show you pictures of masks, it's going to show you pictures of gladiators, maybe some gladiator armor, and you're going to have to pick through those pictures and decide where you would find them. Here's some practice for us. I gave you one of these sheets already, so you can follow along with that if you'd like, and I'm going to go over why each answer is what it is. What kind of adjective is latissimus? It is a superlative adjective. The reason it is superlative because I get that double S. Remember, double R's, double S's, and double L's equals superlative. What kind of adjective is litus? It doesn't have an IOR, it doesn't have an issimus, so it is just the positive form. What kind of adjective is litior? That has the IOR, so that is comparative. Remember, the IOR doesn't have to end in the word, it just has to be in the word. So litior race, even though that ES is there, that IOR is what tells me that it is a comparative. What tense is meted? It is present tense. If it were perfect tense, it would use that third principal part, which is missi. This one I get missisti. It does have the missi in there, and that's using the perfect form. What tense is miserant? The errant's the big key as far as the guess, but the MIS is the perfect stem. Mitibatis, BA is the key here. We're using the present stem MIT, and then we get the BA, which makes it in perfect tense. Some more practice down here. What case is plum nay? The key here is getting rid of that nay. Get rid of that nay, and it leaves me AM. AM equals accusative. They're going to give you a couple of these where they slap that NE at the beginning of a sentence and ask you what case the word is that has the NE at the end. So, puelam ne amas, which is, do you love the girl? Yes or no question. And you have to take that NE off to get to the case ending, which is AM. What kind of word is subito? They are going to ask you to distinguish between adjectives, nouns, and adverbs. Subito does not describe a noun, so it is an adverb. It's an adverb. If I asked you what kind of word puelam was, you would tell me that it was a noun. If I asked you what litus was, you would tell me that it was an adjective. There are several of those questions on this test where you're going to have to tell me whether something is a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. So make sure that you know what those kinds of words look like. Choose the word. You're going to get this. We've already talked about this a little bit. Go through these real quick. Give me your answers, and then I'll go over them. Okay, you promised. I'm looking for an ending that is second person in singular, so I get the isti ending. Promisisti is the one I'm going to choose. He was grabbing. He is third person singular, so I'm looking for that T ending. They punched is NT, they, so I get pulsarwerent. Sinisti is asking what personal pronoun am I going to use as a subject. Isti is to, you. Moose is nos. And istis is y'all. All right, I'm going to give you one more sheet of practice, and I'll go a little bit more in depth. If you feel like you're struggling a little bit with this, I'm going to go one more page, and I'll go a little more in depth on this one. What kind of adjective is denissima? It is a superlative. Again, if I get a double S, double R, double L in the middle of an adjective, it's creating the superlative. What kind of question does none introduce? You have three choices here. You can have yes or no, expect a yes answer, or expect a no answer. None is expecting a yes answer. If it's just a yes or no, we get that NE at the end of the word, of the first word. If it's expecting a no answer, we get noom. What kind of question does nay introduce? Again, yes or no. Expected yes or expected no. We just talked about this. It is yes or no. What tense is omititis? Well, two things I can do here. First of all, if I know my principal parts, omito, omitera, missi, missus, I know that this comes from the present stem. But if I were confused, I didn't know if it was the perfect stem or if it was the present stem. The TIS doesn't have, that's not a perfect ending. So it's only a present ending. What tense is miscerent? Again, hopefully I know my principal part to the verb they're asking me about. Omito, omitera, omissi. Omiss is the perfect stem. What tense is omitibatis? Hopefully again, I realize that this is a present stem. It's using the BA. The BA tells me that it is imperfect. What tense is omitted? Again, I'm looking at the stem, omit. That is my present stem. Okay. In puelline, pueros amant, do the girls love the boys? The nay is introducing the yes or no question, so I have to get rid of it to determine what case puelline is. It is nominative and plural. Pueros is accusative plural. Puelline is nominative and plural. Fortiter Daniel Leonum pugnawit. What kind of word is fortiter? It is an adverb. It doesn't describe a noun. It's not telling you about Daniel or the lion, and it is not a noun itself, so it has to be an adverb. Adjectives describe nouns. So if I said Daniel mortuus est, mortuus tells me about Daniel, that would make mortuus an adjective. Daniel is an object, person, place, or thing, that's a noun. Okay, moving along. This is two parts. Number one, translating those tenses, making sure that you know what tenses are, making sure you know what person a verb is, and knowing what personal pronoun to use for a verb. And number one, you have you drank, so I'm looking for a you singular ending. Bibi is I drank, it has the I for the ending. Bibi moose is we drank, because of the moose. So I'm going to be using, in this case, we invited. I invited for A. Letter B is M, so it's still I was inviting. And then C is we. It's the only one that has we in it. So we're going to use moose in moose. They are fleeing. They is plural in third person. I look, all three of these are plural and third person. So it's asking me what tense am I dealing with. They are fleeing is happening right now. That's present tense. So I'm not going to have a BA. I'm not going to use the perfect. They fled. I'm going to use the present. They are fleeing. So determining whether or not you're looking at a present verb, an imperfect verb, or a perfect verb is a pretty good part of this test. Picking out the right pronoun. There are about 10 of these on this test. So make sure that you're good at looking at TIS, knowing that that's singular second person, and that to is a singular second person, you. Isti, again, that is singular and second person. Moose is going to be first person and plural, so use nos. Ego is first person and plural. That's going to be the O's and the M's. To is going to use the S, and it's also going to use the isti and the perfect. Nos is going to use moose. Wos can use the TIS in the present stems, and it can also use the istis, I-S-T-I-S, for the perfect. That's it for this review. Good luck, and I hope you do well.